Okay. So basically, what do you mean by evolution? Okay. So evolution is nothing but a type of change from one form to another. Okay. For example, if you see the caterpillars, which later becomes what? Butterflies. Then when certain variations or something comes in that, that comes under what? The heredity and variation part. So evolution means what? How is one form evolved from the other form? That is called as what? Evolution. So if you want to know what is evolution, you should also know what is evolutionary biology. Okay, so evolutionary biology is nothing but a study in which you can know the complete history of different life forms which are on earth, right? So this is related to, like, the millions of years ago, whatever the formation was done, based upon that, based on the evolutions which were done on that time, okay, this evolution came into existence. So if you see, there are different what origin of life. Okay, so if you take any forms of animal or organism, they are having what different origin of life. It may be with respect to how they look, okay, or from where they are, which planet they are, or so and so. So this is called as what? Origin of life. So to know the origin of life more clearly, there are certain theories which were put forward. Okay, so one such theory is called as the Big Bang theory. Okay, apart from this, you have much more theories like spontaneous generation, okay, spontaneous generation, biogenesis, cosmic theory, and so on. So let's go one by one to all the theories which suggests the origin of life. So the first such theory is what? Big Bang theory. Now, what is this Big Bang theory? Okay, so according to this theory, whatever the origination of the universe itself was about 20 million years ago. And this origination took place by what? A explosion, an explosion that is called as a singular huge explosion. Now, if we take dinosaurs, okay, which have been extincted nowadays, why? Due to that particular asteroid came to the earth and it ruined everything and they got killed. But still, some of the life forms, for example, you can take lizards. Okay, so lizards are also a form of them. Okay, they are not completely like that, but still they are what? A form of them. So, according to the Big Bang theory, what it states is whatever the universe is there, 20 years, or sorry, 20 million years ago only, because of a singular huge explosion, the universe was originated. And out of this, 4.5 billion years ago, only our Earth was formed. Earth. So, the origination of Earth is 4.5 billion years ago. So initially, okay, there was no atmosphere on the earth. Means on the early days when the earth was about to form, there was no atmosphere at all. Just there were certain few like what do you say, simple things such as what? Water vapor. Okay, water vapor, or you can say certain gases. Now over here, if you see water vapor, methane, carbon dioxide, ammonia. Okay, all these things they were present in that particular earth. So this were released from whatever molten mass which was because as we know volcanic eruptions was there continuously, so molten mass got formed, and from there only these kind of materials ejected out. Okay, apart from that, there is one more thing that is called as the UV rays from the sun. So because of the UV rays, what happens was there was a decomposition of water into hydrogen and oxygen. So because hydrogen was a lighter gas, it easily used to escape into the space. Now remember, here again the atmosphere is not yet formed. Then next is what? Oxygen. Okay, so oxygen, now here water was split into what? Hydrogen and oxygen. So hydrogen just escaped into the space. So what is remaining now is the oxygen. So whatever remains of the oxygen was there, it combined with the ammonia and methane so that it can form the important thing which is called as the water, carbon dioxide and other such components. Later on, now atmosphere has to be completely formed. So along with this, one more layer came which is called as what? Ozone layer. Okay, so as we know, ozone layer protects us from the UV radiations, right? So whatever water vapor was there, it is to cool down. Okay, and again, it will what do you say, fall down as in the form of what? Rain. Now that you know the water cycle, that's called as what? Our water cycle. And in that way, whatever huge water bodies like oceans, sea, all this were formed. Okay, and the appearance of the life on Earth. Okay, it took around 500 million years. Okay, whatever the life which was born on the earth was, how much years or million years it took was 500 million years. Okay, so this is how the earth was formed. So initially, if they ask you about the Big Bang theory, it's nothing but it just states that due to a huge explosion, how the Earth was formed slowly. Okay, first there was no atmosphere, and then slowly what happened was all the components of gas, water vapor, they used to convert into other forms, and then slowly the UV radiations or UV rays from the sun, it caused the decomposition of what? Whatever water was there into hydrogen and oxygen. So hydrogen just escaped, oxygen combined with the ammonia and methane to form the water, carbon dioxide and other components, then the ozone layer, and then lastly, the life was formed on the earth. Now this overall together is called as what? The Big Bang theory. Okay, so like this only, the other theories which came into existence was the spontaneous generation theory. Okay, now this was usually given by Louis Pasteur. Okay, and this is also called as abiogenesis. Abiogenesis. Okay, so see, now there were different theories which were put forward. But it's not that all the theory has been successfully taken forward. Okay, so one such thing which is there is this is spontaneous generation theory, which is also called as what? Abiogenesis. So abiogenesis or this Louis Pasteur experiment, in that what you can see is, now here whatever the life we told, right? Life which existed into the earth. Okay, so whatever the life which was there, that came out from what? Decayed or rotting matter. Rotting matter. Okay, so according to this spontaneous generation theory, spontaneously from the waste, life generated. This is what this theory states. And that also from the things like mud, straw, okay, all these things were there. So from that, this particular, what do you say, life was generated. This is called as what? Spontaneous generation theory. So Louis Pasteur says that whatever life is there, it came from the pre-existing life. So already there was certain source of life which was existing. From that only the life has been generated. Okay, but obviously this theory was disproved. Okay, and then to put forward this theory into a good way, he did an experiment. Now, what was the experiment he did? So as you can see over here, there are what? Different kinds of flask, right? And in the certain materials were there. For example, if you take this flask, these are all pre-sterilized, means uncontaminated. Okay, so he took yeast, okay, and then what he did was he took which kind of yeast? The killed yeast. Now he says that life comes only from what? The pre-existing lives. So what he did was initially the flasks which were sterilized, okay, and in that he saw that whatever the killed yeast was there, it did not get generated. Why? Because the flask was sterilized. There were no source of contamination or no source of life. So the killed yeast did not generate itself over there in that sterilized flask. But second thing what he did was he left that particular flask open. Now, when the flask is open, what will happen? It will be exposed to air. Air has what? Different kinds of organisms and contaminations present. So from that, he saw killed yeast was there that generated. But even though he did all this experiment to prove that from the pre-existing organisms, the life forms, it was disproved. Whatever this particular spontaneous generation theory or abiogenesis by Louis Pasteur was not approved. Okay. Then next one, which is there is called as what? Biogenesis. Okay. Now, what is this biogenesis? So that was abiogenesis. Now this is called as what? Biogenesis. So here also Louis Pasteur took a role. Okay. In this again, he tried to prove that life originates from the pre-existing life. But anyhow, again, this was also not that much approved. Okay. Then next came the next theory, which is called as the cosmic theory. Just write it over here. Cosmic theory. Okay. So this theory is also known as theory of panspermia. Panspermia. Okay, according to this theory, we already know spores, right? Small spores. So, according to this cosmic theory, whatever the spores were there, okay, they were transferred to different planets as like different planets means including the Earth, and then it generated life. Okay, so this is called as what? Cosmic theory, where spores gave life. Next, which we have is the chemical evolution theory. Chemical evolution theory means what? Here, whatever the first form of life was there, that was generated from whom? Non-living organism. Now, what kind of non-living organism? Organic, inorganic molecules or sugars, proteins, nucleic acid, whatever was there. Okay, from there, whatever the life was there, that is originated, is what the chemical evolution theory states. Okay, so these are some of the theories which were put forward, but initially nothing gave that proof, okay, which proves that the life exists. So then came into existence the experiment called as the Urey-Miller experiment. Okay, so this is related to this chemical evolution theory. Okay, so as we know in chemical evolution, what does it state initially? Whatever the life form is there, that was originated from the inorganic as well as organic molecules, right? So to prove this, there was an experiment done which is called as Urey-Miller experiment. So Urey and Miller together conducted an experiment so that they could prove this chemical evolution theory right. So what did they do? So simple terms, if I want to say what is Urey-Miller experiment, it's nothing but they just created a condition, okay, which was almost similar to your primitive earth. Now, primitive earth means what will be present in that primitive earth? Now, that may be the temperature, right? Then there were volcanic storms, so they added that also. And also the now atmosphere was not that much developed, so a reducing atmosphere was there, which contained the things which I have already told you in the Big Bang theory, like water, hydrogen, ammonia, methane, and all those stuff, right? So this is the experiment, how it looks like. Okay, so they are just creating a primitive earth experiment in a lab. Okay, so for that, what are the things they required was same things which are present in the earth. Then they conducted this experiment by doing an electric spark or lightning. So for that purpose, they use the electrodes over here along with the contents, which I have already told you, the gases. Okay, then when they made this electric discharge. This was done in a closed flask, as you can see over here, and it was containing all the four things like CH4, NH3, the hydrogen, as well as the water vapor. So this experiment was carried out at 800 degrees Celsius temperature. So when they carried out this experiment, they got the outcome, that is amino acids. So they got what? Amino acids were formed when they were performing this experiment, right? So then, similar to this amino acids, they also found that they were getting certain sugars, nitrogen bases, means whatever makes up a life, right? All these things, all these molecules, they were getting in this particular experiment, including certain pigments as well as what? Fats. Okay, so according to this experiment, whatever the what you can say, the first non-cellular form of life which is there, that originated from RNA, protein, and other nucleic acids. You can say that this was happened around 3 billion years ago. this particular, according to this experiment, whatever the first non-cellular form of life was originated when 3 billion years ago, and that was through this organic and inorganic molecules. So this was the experiment conducted by Urey and Miller to what do you say, to give the proof that whatever life was there, that originated from the chemical evolution. So every other theories, if you see here also, if you see the acceptance of the chemical evolution theory, there were certain evidences which they gave, which was almost like accepting one. So to certain extent, you can say that this theory was originated correctly. Okay. Then came certain other evidences which was required for the evolution. Now, when we say evidences required for evolution, okay, now there are certain things. For example, you can take paleontological factors, right? Like the fossils and all those things. You can take morphological factors. Then what are the other changes which takes place in the organs of from the starting of the life till now? Okay, it may be the limbs, the hands, or whatever it is. So all these are what certain evidences which proves that evolution has happened, and the ultimate thing which comes into existence is what? Survival of the fittest. So if you see over here, there were certain evidences which were given for evolution. Now let's see what are the evidences which they give. So the first thing is the paleontological evidence. So paleontological means what? It's related to fossil. So if the studies are done related to fossils, they are called as what? Paleontology, right? So paleontological evidences were formed by using this fossils. Now fossils are nothing but the remnants of the what do you say, life which is found from deeper earth's crust, like rocks or soil, like that things. They are called as what? Fossils. Okay, so fossils are very important if you want to generate a evidence. Okay, so here whenever they used to go and find certain fossils. Okay, now there are different other things which you should know in this. First thing is what? There is something which is called as phylogeny. Now, what is this term phylogeny? Okay, phylogeny means nothing but if you want to study an organism's evolutionary history, which is based upon its race, okay, then it's called as what? Phylogeny. For example, any organism you can take, like maybe you can take horse, okay, or any other animals. So if you study their race history or the evolutionary history, they are called as what? As phylogeny. Now, in order to get a link, you need something which is called as what? Connecting link. See, if you want to get the evidence that particular organisms whose fossil you have got should have a link with the the existing form. So that's called as what? The connecting link between the two groups of your organism. Now, how the fossils of the dinosaurs are related to the animals which are existing now? For that, what you need is a connecting link, right? Then only you can study about what? Whatever animals which have been extincted. Like, for example, dinosaurs. So if you take the phylogeny, the connecting link, then you study about the extinct animals, you get what? Slowly, something which is called as a geological evidence. Now, what is geology? Geology is nothing but the study of rocks, soil, and everything which is present on the earth. So by doing this geological study, specifically, if I want to say geological period deals with what? Sedimentary rocks. Different types of rocks you have, right? So if you want to study the geological era, okay, or the ancient time, whatever happened, you need to know about the sedimentary rock layers. So by analyzing the fossils which are present initially in the sedimentary rock layers only, you will know about different life forms which has occurred in that era. Okay, so this is only called as what? Geological period. So if you connect, or if you take all these things only, you're going to get which type of evidence? Paleontological evidence. Okay. Then once you get the paleontological evidence, you go to the second part. It is nothing but related to your morphology and anatomy. That is, whatever your physical appearance as well as the internally, whatever features are there, all those things, you have to study them comparatively. So when you do the comparative study, that is anatomically as well as morphologically, you will again get more clarity about what kind of organisms were there, what were the similarities, and what are the differences among the pre-existed and the existing organisms. So to study the anatomy and morphology to get that evidence, they did the comparison by using three things. Okay, mostly three things were used out of the six. That is the homologous, analogous, as well as adaptive radiation. So let's see one by one. First thing which we have over here is the divergent evolution and the convergent evolution. Now, what is divergent and convergent evolution? Okay, see, divergent evolution means what? The direction of the evolution is called as what? Divergent evolution. Whereas convergent evolution deals with what? The analogous structure. Means divergent deals with homologous structure, which is written over here, and the convergent deals with what? Analogous structure. So what are homologous organ and analogous organ? So now if you see over here in this diagram, okay, we have what? Certain homologous organs over here. Now, first of all, you need to know what is homologous organs. Okay, homologous organs means what? They will be almost similar in its structure, but the function that they will do is different. See, for example, if you see dolphins, skeletal structure, dog, sheep, human, if you compare all these things, everything looks similar, right? But the function that they carry out is different, right? If you take human beings, we have legs and hands, right? We don't walk by using hands, only we use the two legs. But if you take dog, they have what? Four legs. So if you see, the structure will be same. Whatever the fundamental structure is there, that is similar. But the origin means whatever function is there, that will be different. This phenomenon is only called as what? Homology. So homology is something which may indicate a common ancestry. Okay, for example, as I told you, this is like the flippers, or if you take the human hands, the bat's wing, or anything of the animals. Same things, but different functions. But the construction also will be same if you will observe over there. Okay, so usually this is related to what here? The skeletal structure. Homology is mostly related to your skeletal structure along with the other organs such as your heart, excretory systems, or whatever it is. But this is in case of what? Animals. Even in plants also you will find what? Homology. So homology in plants means thorns, okay, tendrils, all these things are called as a homology in the plants. So if they ask you what is the origin of homologous organ, it is due to a factor which is called as what? Divergent evolution. And what is divergent evolution? Divergent evolution means it's an evolution by which what you can say is the related species which are there, they will become less similar, less similar, so that they can survive or adapt to different as well as new environmental conditions. And hence we say that the homology indicates what? Common ancestry. This is about what? Homologous organs. In the same way, you have what? Convergent evolution, that is analogous organs. Okay, so in the analogous organs, usually they are having what? Similar functions. If you see over here, similar function will be there. But what is the difference? The opposite of the divergent, that is a structure. So origin and structure will be different, but the function will be same. Hence, it is called as what? Analogy. Okay, so you can take many examples. For example, say the wings. Okay, wings of birds, you can say. Then another example they have given is the eyes of octopus, right? So wings of birds and insects, they have the same function, but appearance and structure, everything is different. If you take the eyes of the octopus and if you compare it with the mammals, again, if you will see, eyes of the octopus is retina from the skin, but whatever the eyes of mammals is there, it's retina from the brain. Okay, so like how it's in the animals, in the same way it's for plants also. Like for example, you can take the sweet potato and potato. So in the sweet potato, you are having a modified root, whereas in the potato, you are having what? Modified stem. So like this, many examples are there which shows what? Analogous organs, or what you can say, convergent evolution. Okay, so as we saw, divergent evolution was the evolution by which the related species, they become less similar to survive in that environment. In the same way, this is what? Unrelated species. They become what? More similar to survive and adapt to the similar environmental condition. This is the difference between analogous and homologous, that is divergent and convergent evolution. Okay. Okay, then the third type of thing is called as what? Adaptive radiation. Just, yeah, adaptive radiation. Now, adaptive radiations are commonly known as the biogeographical evidences. Okay, so when an evolution happens by adaptation, then it's called as what? Adaptive radiation. So as you know, different organisms, okay, they have an entire different locality. For example, if you take penguins, they require very cold areas so that they can survive. But if you bring that same penguin to a hotter climate, what will happen to them? Obviously, there are greater chances that they will die. But if little conditions are okay, they may also adapt themselves and survive. So this is only called as what? Adaptive radiation. So it's just the evolution of different species in a particular geographical area. Okay, so like, yeah. So if you see the adaptive radiation, there are different examples which you can take over here. I'll just, so the first one is the Australian marsupial. Okay, so the Australian marsupial, it belongs to what? Like obviously it's in Australia. Okay, so there are certain things which are called as what? Marsupials. So they say that these marsupials have been evolved from where? The ancestral stocks. But when they were evolved from the ancestral stock, they had a different variations among themselves. Okay, that was why is they were isolated to a particular geographical area, and suddenly, when they were brought to a different geographical area, their habitats completely changed and it developed into a convergent evolution. Now, here itself, if you see the beaks of this particular Galapagos Island, okay, here this is called as the Darwin's finches. Okay, so this Darwin's finches, which you can see in Galapagos Islands, you can see how the modification has happened according to the geographical area. The entire size, the beak, okay, it became more sharper as compared to the first image. So this is all due to what? Adaptation to that particular geographical area. In the same way, the placental mammals in Australia, that also they saw that it also exhibited what? Adaptive radiation. Okay, so these are the three examples which will show you what? Biogeographical evidences which proves the evolution has occurred. But this is basically based on what? Your geographical area, the habitat wherever you live in. In the same way, you have the another one which is called as the biochemical and embryological evidences. Okay, so biochemical and embryological evidences means what? Biochemical. So biochemical is related to your proteins and genes. That is the entire biomolecules. Whereas embryological, which is there, embryological means it will be related to what? The embryological evidences, the embryos. Right? Means whatever the vertebrate organisms embryos are there, they will share certain what? Common features, which will be only in the embryos, but once they get developed into an adult, that features will be gone. Okay, so that is called as what? embryological evidences which shows evolution. For example, if you take a particular embryo of a vertebrate, like you can take even humans over there. Once that embryo just grows into a baby and then into an adult, you can see certain things will change in them. Okay, so that is only called as what? The embryological adaptations. Okay, so whatever things you will find in the embryo, it is not always that in the adult also the same things will be present. Okay, and then came the last evidence, which is called as what? Evidences of the evolution, which was done by the natural selection. Okay, so this natural selection is also called as what? Biological evolution. Now, starting from the paleontology, that is the fossils, to the collecting of the evidences through the natural selection. Okay, this gave an entire brief history of how actually there was an evolution which was made from a ancestral part to the existing lives which are there. So, in the biological evolutions, what does it mean actually? So, natural selection means what? Whatever organisms are best suited over whatever environment, they will live, they will survive there, and they will reproduce there. That is only called as what? Natural selection. And this natural selection is only called as what? The Darwinian theory about the evolution. Okay, so the thing of the natural selection is what? Natural selection is nothing but whatever organisms that are best suited that for that particular environment, they will only survive there and they will reproduce over there. So just by giving a statement is not enough. So obviously he has to prove or give some evidences for this natural selection. Okay, so he took the first thing which is called as what? Industrial melanism. Okay, now this is a simple thing which we all have learned about the moth. Okay, means there were moth which was present in the plants. Okay, so it's like comparing the era of the industrialization and after industrialization. What was the difference in that appearance of the moth? So they have given the example in England. Okay, so before the industrialization, the moth wings were there, that was white color. Okay, and dark color, two things were there, two winged moths were there. But then when the industries developed, okay, there were changes in the environment and everything. They found that instead of this equal numbers of the white and dark winged moth, they found that dark winged moth was more as compared to the less winged moth. Okay, so why this actually happened? See, before the industrialization, I'll just write it over here. Yeah. So what happened was, if you take before industrialization, okay, before industrialization, whatever the white color were there, they were covered with lichens. Okay, so this covered the trees, and in the background, whatever the white winged moth is there, they survived. Okay, but whatever dark colored moths were there, they were picked out by the predators. Why? Because lichens were white color. So white color moth is to hide over there. So dark color moth, they cannot hide on the white background. So they were picked up by the predators. But after industrialization, what happened? Whatever the tree trunk which was covered with the white lichens, they were all removed and they became dark color due to the dust or whatever smoke which came from the industries. So therefore there was what? No growth of the lichens. Because of that, under this because it was like dark colored branch, whatever the white winged moth was there, they were not able to survive and the predators easily picked them up. And what happened was, this time the branch was dark, so dark winged moth survived. So you understood the difference. Industrialization means when revolution also was happening, it made changes in the evolution of the organism, right? So even due to the excessive use of the herbicide, pesticides, or whatever things like drugs, antibiotics, it also has a major impact on what? Natural selection. Okay, so this was the evidence which was given by him for the evolution by what? The natural selection.